pretty popular topic. And just a few basic things you need to know to help yourself be successful. Correlation is the numerical relationship between values, and it's got to be two different variable values. Causation means that we know that one thing causes the other. They are not the same thing. Okay. So you have this table here. It says make a scatter plot based on the data. So there's some data. We usually count this as the X, this is the Y. And if you have a blank graph and you're going to make a scatter plot, do a little quick planning. I know the X's go up to 14, so I just start marking, make sure that I can get up to 14. Don't be too detailed, but don't skip details. So I would go by 2s or something, make your marks. If it's on the computer, they're going to give you a scale. Score, this goes up to 100, so whatever you're going by, make sure that you can reach to 100. So this is going to be like a cooking show. I got a scale already made. I just probably could have picked a little better one, but I picked going by 2s here. There's some extra graph area, but whatever. I got my scatter plot. Okay, so when I look at my scatter plot, the directions say, what's the equation of a trend line that models the relationship between our studying and test scores? So that means, is there a line that goes through the middle of this that's a good model that give you a relationship? So I'm going to tell you a little helpful hint. And I ask it in this question, but you maybe didn't understand why I asked you to find the mean. If you can find the average of these x's, so add them up, 8 plus 5 plus 12 plus 10 plus 2 plus 9 plus 11 plus 14, there were 8 scores. So the average x value is about 8.9. And then if you find the average y values, boom, found them, added them up, divide by 8. Average y value is 73. The reason I do that when I'm finding a trend line is I know my trend line is most accurate if it goes through about that point. So 973. And you might have gotten that if you just drew a line through there, but if you can make it go through that line, there's a better chance that you're going to have some accuracy. So I'm just picking a trend line that sketches through all those, or I could just pick another point and find the equation of the line between those 2 points. So I got the graph there. It says, what 2 data points did you draw your trend line through? Well, if it's asking to use a specific the specific points on your graph, you can just pick 2 that work out nicely. So I look like probably through this point right here and this point right here if I'm going to use ones from my graph. So it's asking me for those specific ones. Well, that one is 562. And if I use this one up here, I can go down here and tell you what it is, 1495. I'm just getting those off of my original table. Okay, so now that the question just turns into an algebra question, I have 2 points. Find the slope of your line. You can use the slope formula. Write the equation of the line. Pick which of the easier 2 points. So y equals, I'm going to pause it and find the slope. Slope is 33/9, not very nice. So I'm going to plug in a point now and find b. So 62 equals 33/9 times 5 plus b. Calculate that puppy. So it's 33/9 times 5. So I'm going to take 62, so about 43.7. So y equals 33/9 x minus 43.7. Now I can go over here and look. If I went through those 2 points over here, I can look and see if I made a good graph. It's pretty good. Right there's 45. That's the y-intercept. It says, now can you make a prediction if you study for 15 hours? So over here, is 15 hours, I can go up and predict, and that would tell me what my score is. Now it says 100. Okay, there's some that, but there's no guarantee there because our data values only went from 5 up through 14. 14 was the biggest data value. So roughly 100, depends on if you use a pencil or a sharper, 99-ish. You can use the graph to predict, or you can plug in to your equation. So this time I'm going to plug in 15 hours for my x. So I can take 33/9 times 15 minus 43.7, and that should tell me roughly my score. So 33/9 times 15 minus 43.7. I screwed up something. Oh, it was plus 43.7 right there. Sorry. 55 plus 43.7 instead of minus 98.7, which is about what we got by just drawing a line. So you can get an idea. Any of these can be predicted on this thing. The little chart over here just helps you tell you how strong the correlation is. It's positive if it's increasing from left to right. It's negative if it's decreasing. Notice the further the dots get apart, the weaker the correlation. Okay, the difference between the correlation and causation we'll talk about a little bit more in class. The correlation, you can show a numerical relationship, but one doesn't necessarily cause the other. They're just things you could chart and show that relationship. The last thing I'm going to show you is going to be fast on your calculator, and it's how to use your calculator if you want to learn this. Again, some of this stuff you might have to just try a little bit. If you did this in Algebra 2, it's a fast remember. If you didn't, you might not want to mess with it right now. So under the Stat menu, you can enter lists into your calculator. There's 8,000 videos on YouTube on how to do this if you need more help. If this video is too fast. So in list 1, you could put, I'll just go back to the original problem. You could put the x's, so 8, 5, 12, 10, 2, 9, 11, 14. And then in list 2, you can put the y values, 75, 62, 80, 85, 35, 70, 82, and 95. Okay? If that's too fast for you, pause it, rewind it, go back again. It was stat edit. I quit here. I go stat, calculate, linear regression, and then I find the names of my lists, which are down here. So I put the X is in list 1, and the Y is already set at list 2. I don't have a frequency list. I hit enter, and it gives me the equation of a line. Okay, and it's not the exact same as the line I have here because that one had me pick 2 points, but it gives me a pretty good idea. If I put that in my calculator and I could see what I'm doing there. Okay, so I entered my data into the list, then I put the numbers for X and Y, and then went linear regression. This calculator is the one that shows up on the ISTEP. Under the stat button, a lot of stuff you can do there that helps figure it out. That's all.